Unless we see live, there is.
Oh, and hello, everybody.
I think it may be best to wait for a fourth. Unless I hear differently, that's what I'll do.
I mean, if we're on air, we kind of may as well, instead of having several minutes of dead air, we can kick this thing off. I think our other
That can always be
participant.
edited, though.
I guess we'll see.
Let's Chrome up here.
Go ahead and send Neil that, just in case. But I assume that he's already had a few messages. It's probably an internet connectivity on his end. Yeah, working on Neil.
Do Lewis as a stand-in.
Yep, let's start. He says to start.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. Today is August 8th, 2026. And today we're going to be debating the subject of taxes in America. And if we have time, we'll move on to what we like most and least about Democrats and Republicans.
Okay.
Who would like to get us started?
I'll start. My thought on taxes in America is I would like to take more taxes from the federal. Let me see how to phrase this right. I would like to give less of our tax dollars to the federal government and put it into the state. I think that states are better equipped to decide what's right for their constituents. I think there would be less fraud than what we have in the federal government. That's my thought.
All right. That's a good start. What do you think, Cameron?
I'm going to have to disagree with that, only because there's a lot of states down south and a lot of, I'm sorry to say, red states that do not contribute as much to the national GDP as certain other concentrated areas. I mean, I think, California is the sixth largest GPD in the world. And if we don't contribute that equitably across all the states, then there's definitely going to be, you're going to see poor places get poorer and richer places get richer. And I don't think that's what the country needs right now.
I think that if the red states incentivized more business to come in, that could generate taxes. I just don't like what our federal government is doing with our money. I mean, there is so much waste, and everybody says let's do something about it, but nothing is happening. And I think we need to take some of that power away from the federal government. And I know that there will be higher winners like California, New York, and states with lesser income. But something's got to change with our tax dollars. And I don't see giving more money to fix problems, because it's not fixing anything. I don't want to become a socialist country. I don't think that's the right way to go. I don't know. It's just something I've been thinking about, that I'd like to take some of this power away from the federal government.
Well, then who's going to pay Walmart and Amazon their giant tax benefits?
But I don't care about their giant tax benefits. I mean, honestly, I don't. I think that if they have to pay more, then they have to pay more. It's just, there's so many things about my tax dollars that I don't agree with. I'm sorry, a lot of people are going to not like this, but I don't like how much money the federal government spends on art. I've seen freeways that have all this great art. We don't need that. Not when there's people going hungry and everybody goes feed the hungry. We'll take some of that money from the arts. I think that a lot of federal funding in like pharmaceuticals need to stop. If they need funding, then let them go to private funding. I don't know. There's just so many places, and we have senators that have 3 and 4 aides. Now I know a couple of them aren't paid, but they don't need that much. They don't need it.
Jordan?
Yeah. I mean, there's areas of agreement that I have there. But I think a lot of it really ends up just coming down to like fraud. I think that there is massive levels of fraud that's taking place, not only in the federal government, but also within state governments. You look at stuff like Minnesota and the all the daycare kind of stuff, and then there's a lot of medical, and it's an entire system that kind of feeds into itself. I think that if we ended up like specifically targeting fraud and eliminating that, a lot of the actual tax dollars would go into the places that they should actually go into. There's another structure for mostly like local government. Federal government, I think, they have to have I don't know how much of a say the people would really be able to have in like how that money is specifically spent. But I think that there should be and there can be a way to enable it so that the state, local governments are able to allocate the money and the dollars to the things that the people really want. And the system that I kind of think about for it is you'd kind of have it so that like every citizen would basically, when they'd get some sort of chart or list or something like that, and there would be certain amounts of money that would go to like infrastructure and education. Like there'd kind of be like, here's the bare minimum, and no matter what happens, the government is going to fund it by this much. And then there would also be caps, so you can't fund it over some specific amount. And then you can hand it off to where the people would be able to say, you know what, I don't feel good about education right now. I want more money to go into education. I want more money to go into the roads. I want more money to go into all of these different things. And if there's these other,
But just
like,
because
social
there's
programs,
money getting sent there doesn't mean that it's doing any good.
well,
I mean,
it
we
would be
subsidize
up to-
drilling. We subsidize drilling, and look at Deepwater Horizon. I mean, we
Sure.
subsidized. They did it years ago when I was in high school. I was stoked. They subsidized rural areas to get broadband internet. I had dial-up at the time, 64K.
But see, we
Yeah.
shouldn't.
It
we
never
Well,
shouldn't-
wait a second.
It never
Jordan was
happened.
on a train of thought here. Let's let Jordan finish what he was saying.
Well,
Or
I'm-
are you done?
Yeah, I mean, I'll take what he says. I mean, I'm not sure if what you're talking about is like the federal government, or if that's the specifically to the local. But the way that my kind of system would kind of pan out is like, look, if the people didn't want to have certain things subsidized and stuff like that, then they could say, no, we're not going to check the box to subsidize this kind of a thing. So the system is kind of designed to make it so that the public is able to decide where that money gets to go. So whatever it is that they value the most, that's where the money goes. And then it's like, okay, look, our education is like really high. We're going to lower the cap because we just simply don't need this much, right? And then people could kind of say, I want it in this, and then this, and then this, and kind of go down the line and almost order, prioritize where their tax dollars are going. And if all of those things cap out, then it just goes into the next bucket that's relevant for them. And so I think that eliminating fraud and specifically directing or giving the people a choice as to where their money actually goes I feel like is probably the best way for at least local governments and state governments to be able to improve their own states.
And
And
Louis, are you
that's
still with us? I see your camera went dark there. Oh, there you are.
okay. That's
Um,
kind of where
Audio's
Well-
being weird. So hopefully you can hear me. But
Yes.
there's a cost to not funding services, because then you have continuing and persisting problems. And so we say,
Healthcare.
okay, this money isn't solving the problem, but is it keeping the problem from becoming worse? And that's a hard question to answer. But if you don't provide resources to mitigate, manage, lessen, whatever you want to call it, issues, then those issues can grow, right? So if we don't fund schools because some schools are bad, then some people don't get the education they need, and that has long-term consequences as well. So it's hard to, it's easy to point at something that's not working and say we shouldn't fund that. And I actually agree, if something's not working, we should shift those funds to something that is working. But it's not just a matter of cutting the overall funding. If there is a continuing problem, you have to still figure out how to address the continuing problem. And if you direct the funds to something better that starts to lessen the problem, then yes, you can cut funds down the road. But saying, well, you know, there's still homeless people, let's not spend money on homeless people. Sorry, I had to join late, so I may not know exactly.
Okay.
So what if within that kind of a system, you're like, okay, this system is not working, say the homeless, because where I am, the system does not work. We're in effect perpetuating the problem. And so what if instead they said, here we can, like, we're going to fund the homeless. Which version of of helping the homeless do you want this money to be put in? And you can,
Sure.
this is the one that's not working, so let's instead divert it over into this plan.
We should be auditing all of our spending programs, all of our spend, to see what's working and what isn't.
Didn't we
George
just pay
W.
someone to do
Bush-
that?
George W. Bush and Obama had programs for that. I think Trump stopped them in his first term, and then Biden didn't reinstate them either. But we should go back to auditing these programs to see what's working.
That's federal, yeah.
Yeah, and we should do that at all levels, as far as I'm concerned. Now, maybe if you're Alaska with 800,000 people, you can't afford to audit all your programs, and a lot of your funding comes from the federal government anyway. So maybe you leave that to the federal government. But if you're California, Texas, Florida, or New York, you can afford to audit your state programs. And if you're New York City or Houston, I'm trying to pick red and blue areas because I don't want to. It's probably not perfect, but every area, any larger local entity should be auditing their own programs for effectiveness. And the problem is, some people want to just cut funds because they don't think we should be spending on social programs. And that's what I think we're opposed to on the left. Is it's not so much that we don't want programs to be more efficient. We want programs to actually help people. And if they don't help people, sure, take that money away and put it in something else that does help. But
They fight against that all the time. Like they
But
fought
we
against Doge so hard.
we
I mean,
incentivize people to stay on the system.
True.
Our welfare system incentivizes people to stay on it. That's the
And
problem
have kids.
there.
that happens, but most
Being
people
single.
most people who are on welfare are only on welfare for shorter periods of time. The people that are on welfare for years and years, or for all their life, is a smaller proportion of
But they
proportion of the people who receive welfare overall. Most welfare recipients are just on it for a short period of time until they can
But
find a
here's
job or get out of a bad
here's the
situation.
here's the thing. That's understandable, and I don't know one Republican conservative that wants to do away with social services.
Yeah.
Not one. We all know that there are people that need help. There are people that are mentally or physically unable to work, and we should help them. I don't know why the system is that we have to allow the bad people in the system to help the people that really need it. I mean, we've got generational welfare. That's crazy. That's crazy. We
To
we
get
should not incentivize people to stay on welfare. It should be a short term. We will get you daycare. We will help you with jobs. We will help you with clothing. But you are not sitting on welfare for more than, say, 2 years. And
so
kick them.
I work as a software consultant. I'm not a programmer, so don't ask me to write you any code. But I work as a software consultant, and I have back problems. I can continue to do my job for the rest of my life with back problems. Well, at least until a fairly significant old age with back problems. If I end up not being able to walk, I can still do my job, right? I can probably, as we develop tools like text to speech and so on, I might even be able to do my job if I can't type. But when I worked in shipping and receiving many years ago, which was a job I loved, I was in the best shape of my life. That is not a job I could do with a bad back or into my 70s and 80s.
But
So
nobody's saying that a person like that should have to.
But if I'm injured, right, and I can't continue to work, and I'm working in shipping and receiving or construction or something like that, and I'm 50 something years old, job retraining for that person is very difficult. You know, if you haven't gone.
Did you not hear what I said? I said that we are for helping people that are mentally and physically unable to work. You should receive a check. And I think that if we really looked into who's receiving these benefits that shouldn't, that the programs that are actually helping people, that the people that are on the programs that need the help, we could shift more of that money in their pocket, and then we wouldn't have these impoverished people that are unable to get a job to be able to live a fulfilling life.
So it's not, what we're not targeting here is like the person who really truly needs it. As Melody said earlier, like what we are doing is incentivizing people to be on it. And there's all kinds of ways. And there's people in their youth who they even train their kids like, this is how you game the system. And so we're trying to have like that's where the conversation really should be. But a lot of times that conversation gets conflated with here's people who really truly need this, along with the people who are abusing it. And it's like, well, we're trying to stop it, but they're not.
How is that any different than a tax lawyer for a billionaire?
What do you mean?
It's knowledge on how to game the system.
It sounds like a different topic.
So let's agree there's some abuse, right? Whether it's rampant or minor or somewhere in between. Let's agree there's some abuse. We can audit for that, investigate that, and we can do it more.
We don't.
That auditing
that's the problem. Is I feel like Republicans are the ones who are saying,
didn't someone recently just
stuff.
cut them? Just cut the IRS, the audit department?
Yeah.
And now get less funding. Was that
right.
recent?
We're cutting the staff that would do that right now.
They weren't doing it before.
I don't
know the last time that we've even gone through audits to get any of this kind of stuff done.
We investigate.
Doge was like the biggest audit of all time, and Elon Musk had his Tesla's Tesla companies like firebombed and his cars destroyed and just random people on the street attacked. And so it's like
and
there's a
Doge,
pushback that's coming from somewhere where it's saying, hey, don't audit us,
no,
kind of a system. There's a public reaction about that.
there's
And
a
it's not
public
it's not the people on the right or even in the center who are like, oh no, don't do that. Like we want that kind of, we want the audits. But when we push for
You
these
can't
audits,
build a car.
people get
You
attacked.
can't build a car that you can't get out of with a physical, like a physical way to get out of if it gets cut off of power, and not expect somebody to try and fucking kill you. I mean, that's, excuse my language.
That's
And
crazy.
That sounds
That's
crazy.
crazy.
So maybe it's a
Oh,
little.
we're trying to
early.
fix things. We want to audit
Tesla-
things. We want to fix things. Expect to be
Tesla-
attacked. It's like,
Okay,
What?
So
yes,
So
maybe there's a
Tesla-
reality there.
Correlation does not represent causation in that one. I'm sorry.
Tesla had cars that were self-driving, and then right before a collision, the self-driving would turn off, and then they would say, "Oh well, we turned off the self-driving."
Hey,
so
so
it was up to
don't
the
buy
driver."
his
That wouldn't
cars.
even, that would not pass in a court of law whatsoever.
Yeah, but that
Oh,
was
yeah, 'cause
Tesla.
they
That was
have the
Tesla's
data.
claim. So if you're wondering why people are mad at Elon Musk,
That's
those are
not
some of
why
the
they were
reasons.
mad at
They
Elon
were
Musk.
None
mad
of
at him
that
for- they were
happened.
mad at
None
him-
of that had
It's,
anything
it's
to
written
do
into the service
with them
agreement that Tesla owns the
attacking
data. They
Tesla.
can't get it without a warrant.
Yeah, I mean,
None
you-
of that happened until he was part of Doge. And here's the deal. Here is how you attack a company that you don't like. You don't buy their product. You
Right.
don't
Yeah.
blow their product
and
up.
that happened too.
You just don't buy, and that's the way to do it. But saying that we should blow up,
Expect consequences. Like what?
you
It
know,
kills
the-
people. How much money
No,
would a guy who
so
made lawn darts make?
I'm sorry, but you know, this country was founded on revolutionaries. Who,
Oh, now we're,
who-
hey, we
That's
want to do
not
audit.
revolution.
Let's
dumped
start a
tea-
revolution.
who dumped tea into Boston Harbor,
What?
who you know were like, okay, if we don't like what the government's doing, we should
Over a
revolt and shoot
3%
people.
tax, by the
So
way.
that's part of the American, you know, tradition. And I agree, we're not
Okay.
at that point now, and we
I'm not
shouldn't
sure
be
what you're
engaged in-
promoting at this
in-
point
in-
because
in
you're
what-
arguing in favor of revolution
No,
over auditing.
no, I just said we're not at that point now, but we're not.
We
auditing.
are.
Do-
Look at what
Doge-
happened with Tesla.
Yeah, we shouldn't be at that point now, if you prefer.
Okay,
But
that's a
Doge-
better way. we
Doge-
shouldn't be,
Doge,
but we are.
Doge, but Doge was not auditing people on welfare.
They
Doge
didn't
was
get to.
deciding we were going to fire people working for the government. Some of those were the people who were doing these audits. So there's less staff now, as Cameron pointed out, to do these kinds of audits.
There's bloat.
And these kinds
There was
of
a lot of
audits are
bloat.
expensive. They're not necessarily going to save money. If you're aggressively going after people who cheat, you're not necessarily going to save money because it costs money to investigate and to
You are
audit
going to
and so
save
on.
money.
I actually
You are
Okay.
going to
think we-
save money
but-
because
but-
these fraudulent systems are perpetually
But-
gaining money.
but
all that Elon Musk had time to do was to go after the big stuff first.
no,
That's
Elon
what he was
Musk,
targeting
Elon
in the
Musk
beginning.
Elon
Okay.
Musk Doge was a fraud. So
okay,
let's-
back
so
to
let's-
the topic that we started with.
Doesn't even make sense.
Taxes in America. This right here, this whole auditing thing, we can't afford to audit. It's too expensive to audit. We need to audit.
we should audit.
Okay, I agree. But our federal government has gotten so fat, so big that, as you say, it's too expensive to audit. That's why I say take those federal government. I'm not saying we shouldn't have a federal government. We need highways, we need airways, we need military. We need money to go into the federal government. But what I'm saying is let that money come from the states. Say you pay, okay, my husband's in a middle class income bracket. So we pay about 33% tax a year. So instead of giving that 33% tax to the federal government, that's what we pay the federal government, not the state government. let's pay the state government an additional 25% tax, and then let the state pay the federal government 10% of that to fund the airlines, the airspace and the freeways and the water. I mean, get rid of all of this bloat.
The
I
the
don't.
the problem with that is we have a lot of transfer from rich states to poor states.
I don't care.
So what happens if you do that is a lot of states suddenly they have a lot less money. So in terms of auditing and all that, they have less resources for that. If you don't have help from the federal government.
I think
I
you
mean,
need both. You need state, like the local government, and you need federal, but they need to happen within their own general things. Like I don't understand. I think I heard like it's too expensive to audit, or audit is very expensive.
audit is
To
very
me,
expensive. We should do it
that does
anyway.
not make any sense to any degree, because basically what we're saying is there's so much, like, think about how much fraud there is and how much money are we just simply losing.
How much fraud is there?
A lot. There's a
There's
ton.
very little. When we do investigate, we find the levels of fraud tend to be fairly low.
No, we don't.
Yes, we do.
Okay, yeah. When
And
you
that
look at
person
somebody
is now
like
wearing
Minnesota,
substantially heavier pants.
when you look
So-
at a situation like in Minnesota, they were like, we basically don't have fraud, and then Nick Shirley comes waltzing through and is like,
Nick-
hey,
Nick
look
Shirley's
at
a
all of
fraud.
this fraud that's taking place.
Nick
My-
Shirley's a fraud.
You have no clue what you're talking about. Nick Shirley's he exposed massive levels of
Nick
fraud.
Shirley showed up at daycare centers, demanded to film other people's children.
This
There
is
were
the
no
narrative
children.
that
He
you
wasn't
have.
able to do it. He's
This
a
There were no
fraud.
children.
This is the most. I'm sorry. It's the most garbage narrative ever. It's like you're
Yes,
completely
Nick Shirley is the
ignoring.
most garbage
You're
narrative
completely ignoring. You're focusing in on, like, I don't like the optics of how he went about
no,
this,
no,
and you're completely ignoring the like
It was
billions of
proven.
dollars.
It was proven.
Yeah,
It-
it's
correct.
Not by
demonstrated.
Nick Shirley.
No,
But
actually,
he-
it was
Yeah, so
exposed
why are
by
we
Nick
talking about
Shirley.
Nick Shirley? You want to
Because
talk
he's
about
the
other
one who
fraud, we can
exposed
talk
it.
about that. But Nick Shirley himself is a fraud.
Well, you can
don't.
say
You're
that,
talking
but
out of the
he
side
Can
of your
we
mouth.
jump
You
back
don't
to
understand what you're
taxes
saying.
for a minute?
Yeah.
I read a statistic just today that the total revenue from the United States government, only 9% of it comes from corporations.
There you go. I am not opposed to a higher tax on corporations. I am not opposed to that.
I think there's a.
But I
there's
am-
A, okay, go ahead.
I'm just opposed to how much our federal government, we are one of, I mean, we have so many people in this country. We're right up there with Japan and China and all them, right?
We have about
We have-
370 to 380 million people.
I mean, we rule the
Japan-
world
Japan
on per
has
capita
about 100
incarcerations per capita.
I know that we're not the biggest, but I
So-
know that we're huge. And we have a good tax base.
We're the
We
fourth
have
or fifth
money.
largest by population. We're pretty
Our
big.
taxes are going up, and the quality of life is going down.
Going down.
I wonder
And
why
that's-
that's happening. It's
act-
because of fraud. It's
we-
because
we
our
just-
money is
we-
being put
we-
into
we just-
places that it shouldn't be going into.
we just
it's
had
because of
massive federal
technology, and there's
tax cuts.
definitely is money going into places that it shouldn't be going into.
You can
But it
look
comes
up.
down to technology and what they're doing with our privacy and our data.
I
we
mean,
just-
in a sense, I think that people should be compensated for their data that these corporations are using to profit off of us. I think that there could be a tax that comes back to the people, but I think really a lot of the focus should just be on, like, you're not opposed to auditing, but you also sound like you're opposed to auditing. I mean,
Oh, no.
like when you kind of lose it over Nick Shirley going and
because Nick
saying,
Shirley's-
hey,
Nick-
here's
Nick
a whole
Shirley's
bunch.
fraud.
Well, hold on.
I mean,
Here's a
that's why
whole
I'm-
bunch of fraud that's happening, and it's demonstrable. You can see it. It wasn't even Nick Shirley that found it. It was somebody who had been
and we can talk-
investigating it
yes,
for years.
There's fraud in Minnesota. I'm not arguing that there isn't.
And there's
I'm
fraud
saying
in California. There's fraud in Oregon. There's fraud in Washington. There's fraud in
There's
New
fraud
New
in
York,
every damn
Alabama.
state.
There's fraud in
is not
every single state.
That fraud is not nearly as widespread as people who hype it
everywhere.
think it is.
It's just not reported because they're not looking.
The-
They're
so-
not
so,
looking, just like they
again,
didn't look in Minnesota. They
I'm
didn't
not-
look.
So here's, I'm saying we should look, right? I'm saying that's expensive.
Check.
I'm not
Do me a
I'm
favor.
saying-
Do
I'm
me a
Is it
saying
too
favor.
that
expensive
Want to
to
look?
look?
we look, we're not gonna
Look. If you
I'm
want to
saying
take a
that
look
if we-
yourself, Lewis, if you want to see where, if you want to take a look, go to your local municipality police department's website and just search in that URL for new, and they'll be showing off their new goods.
So,
They,
all
the police departments around here, they have new police
Yeah.
cars, new paint jobs every year.
so
Paint jobs that I wouldn't be able to afford working my life away
have
on.
no
I
complaints
don't
about
I
that.
think
I think there's
I
a
don't think
lot of
that's
government
fraud at
overspending
all.
in the police spec in the
So
police.
I
I-
think
I
when you
think-
have like here's like systems, here's daycare, here's adult care centers where they're receiving millions of dollars because they have 7,000 people that they are caring for, and
Mhm.
it's like, and they're getting millions of dollars. Like there's things like that are actually like really, if anybody paid any amount
you
of
can't
attention,
you can't now
it
you
would be
can't blame the
identifiable.
healthcare. You can't blame the healthcare system because of that.
I'm not blaming the
I think-
healthcare
no,
system.
it's not
the health-
I'm
is it the
blaming
insurance
federal
companies that
are-
government.
The
Our-
healthcare system is a victim of all of this fraud. I
Okay.
honestly believe that if we removed all of this fraud, we would be able to have free healthcare. There's so much money.
So that's fine, and I agree. We should investigate it all. I think
Quit
that if
crying
we-
about the exposure of it.
I think nope. I'm crying about Nick Shirley being a fraud. The exposure is fine. The exposure is fine. There's we should audit it. We
I don't
found,
like that he
we found it in
knocked on doors
Minnesota.
and
We-
said, "Hey,
we
where's the
found-
kids?
Yeah,
Your business
I mean,
doesn't look
I-
legitimate
I'm-
at all."
yeah, I explained what Nick Shirley was doing and whether people want to accept it or not, he's a fraud. But anyway,
Surface level
what-
nonsense.
But let's move on from Nick Shirley's nonsense and fraudstering. But let's talk about, so we're talking about waste in terms of what police are spending and so on, or possible waste, right? And we're talking about fraud. So let's kind of talk about waste and fraud and tax levels.
What do you think is the fraud
What
that
do I
you
think
don't
is
like?
there,
What's the
there's-
fraud that you don't like?
We are exposing fraud in Minnesota. What we're still investigating it. We don't have a final
I'm asking
number.
the fraud that you don't like. I heard the
So-
police are wasting money on paint
well,
jobs and new vehicles.
Yeah, I'll
Is
I'll
that
get
is
to
that
it.
like wasteful spending?
Some
I would
of
call
it
that
is
wasteful spending,
Some-
yeah,
some
but
of it
then,
is-
I don't think so at all.
Some-
If
some of it is
if you
wasteful
dive
spending.
deeper into it, who decides where that money goes? They hand it to the police department. Does it go through a commission that decides? Do people bid on who gets to do the paint job?
Are they
or it's, "Hey, my
getting
cousin
paint
Jimmy"?
jobs? I don't care. Are
Yeah,
they getting paint
we,
jobs?
we are
Are they getting a new
incentivizing-
vehicle? Are they getting
We're in-
new
yeah.
guns? Are they getting the
We're-
ammunition? Are they getting the training?
Are they getting more
all
than what
these
they
things?
need?
They probably need a lot more than they're getting. They just got
We're-
So you
cut
agree
a
with the
ton
rollout
amount.
of the flock cameras and the Axiom?
No,
and
I don't
how all
agree
that
with the
data's
flock,
being
but the
collected?
flock has nothing
That's
to
a
do with the
tool.
police. No, the police
That's
are
a
not
police
part
tool.
of the
That
flock.
comes at the police are paying for the flock. They have contracts with the company. They are paying them. There's an exchange of money there.
There's
For your
the
personal
flock
data,
is
your
a
location
private.
data, every thought
I
you
can
have, every
I can
move you
disagree
take.
with flock cameras being put up, but I do also understand that if the flock cameras are going to be put up, it's going to make perfect sense for the police to be participating in that system. I'm completely against the flock cameras. I would aim towards getting rid of
But
the,
then
flock
who do you
cameras.
think paid for
So
them?
here's okay, but let's.
Private
who do you think paid for
investors.
that
I think there's
development?
probably government investors. I think there's all kinds of people who are investing in them, and it's probably up to the people to figure out how we stop them. But I don't fault them. I don't fault the police and say, oh, this is wasteful spending for doing something that they are able to do. That's not
I
wasteful
find a fault
spending.
in
That's
any
not
single
fraud.
human being that feels the need to have that much access or control over another person's personal life. Period.
I'm in
End
a
of story.
complete agreement.
Especially a citizen, a free citizen.
I'm very much anti-flock, but I can
But
also
you're saying they need that much budget, that there could be not fraud
no.
or
I'm
wasteful
saying
spending in
that
that sector.
since it's there, it makes sense why the police department would be using it as a tool. And I think that it's not up to the people to say, hey, police department, don't use this tool that's hyper beneficial to what your goals are. Instead, what we should do is say, hey, government,
How many
we need to
kidnappings
remove
has
the
it
flocks
solved?
because we don't want them.
It's like a Christmas story is what it's going to turn into. You're going to shoot your eye out, kid. That happens when you give humanity a tool that powerful.
I'm not really disagreeing with you very much. The only thing that I disagree with you really is like I don't blame them. I don't blame the police department, and I don't view it as fraud or wasteful for them to participate in using the tool that is effectively designed to catch criminals.
I think
I don't fault them for that.
I think the more interesting look at possible police waste is why do police departments have armored personnel carriers that they're buying as surplus military equipment?
I hope they do.
Yeah,
I want them to be very well
I
equipped.
recommend for anyone interested in the subject, the person I read on it is a libertarian writer.
If we're spending that much money to get them that well equipped, you should at least be able to teach them how to calm a pet dog without a 9mm or a 45.
Sure. Sure. Neither
More
of
than
these
2 weeks of
things are
training.
wasteful to me. I'm not gonna oppose you in them getting better, in them having more training. And if you're gonna give them all this cool stuff,
what is a situation where police have needed an armored personnel carrier?
when you have people running around
riots.
and they're
Riots, yeah.
shooting, they're shooting stuff and they need bulletproof stuff, or they need higher end.
Yeah, and
equipment.
they so body armor, shields, and so on.
Yeah, give it to them.
But there hasn't been a situation where to my knowledge, where an armored personnel carrier has saved a policeman's life.
Yeah, of course they have.
I mean,
it
you're saying of
protects
course
them.
they have, but
They
I
use
say
them if
when
somebody's
has
barricaded.
That happened, and
especially
there's
when
no-
somebody's barricading
but-
in.
but
There was
let-
a situation recently for that.
But so
do you want
moving-
the policeman to get shot in his car? I mean,
I don't want them to
what
get
are
shot
you?
in
Not
their
bulletproof
car,
windows.
I'm saying that they don't really need. I'm saying they don't need armored personnel carriers.
I
That's
don't see
military
why
equipment.
not.
But you're right. I don't think they do, because if they're buying new cop cars every year, it wouldn't hurt just to throw one through a brick fucking wall. You're right. I agree there completely.
I don't know. This is crazy.
Yeah. It's
I'm not opposed to actually paying cops more.
It's
And
like
them having better body armor and things like that. At the same time, cops walking around looking like an looking like a soldier in a neighborhood is also potentially not
I don't
creating
think
the
that they
effect
do.
that we
When
need
there's like
for our-
riots and there's like, hey,
that's
when they bring that stuff out.
That's in some areas, and in
I'm going to
those
step out for a
cases
few minutes. I'll be
they
back.
can do that. But going back to waste and fraud and taxes, like the one thing, we have lower levels of taxation and social spending than many other, if not most, if not almost, and all rich countries, right? So the question is, if we want to lower it further, we insist that there's all this fraud. I'm all for finding it. If you're right and we audit and we find all this fraud and we eliminate it and we save money, great. I think we're going to end up spending more money to find the fraud than finding the fraud.
Probably.
It doesn't
No,
that
probably.
mathematically
either
doesn't
way,
even make
either
sense.
way, we should
Okay.
find the fraud because those people are robbing us, right?
Okay, even
if someone's committing a
Lewis.
crime,
You're saying you're contradicting yourself.
I'm not.
Lewis,
Yeah,
Lewis,
you totally are.
Lewis, hey, if we spend more initially to find the fraud and get rid of the fraud, then we are going to save more
I
down the road.
we
So-
might. I don't think so.
Oh, because
How
we're
is
full
that
of
not
fraudsters?
possible?
And
Because
then you're just saying our whole government is just one big
if there's-
fraud,
if
and it
there's-
goes back to me saying, get rid of the damn federal government.
if there's just hypothetically, right? Two scenarios. If we spend $1 million finding fraud, and there's $2 million worth of fraud, we recoup $2 million. We spent $1 million. We have $1 million that we saved. That's scenario one. I think that's the scenario.
You're leaving out context to it.
hypothetical.
The perpetuality of it. Say it's $2 million a year that's in fraud.
Sure.
And then so you invest 1 million and then you stop it. You could even say there's $250,000 per year, and we're just using numbers, right? Just for the sake of simplicity. $250,000 are being consumed through fraud, and we spend 500,000, or we spend $1 million to locate that fraud. If we did not do that, then over the course of like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, that number is going to be perpetually growing. So it's not just $250,000. It's annually $250,000, another $250,000.
That's scenario one. Scenario two is we spend money, we spend $1 million, and we only identify $250,000 of fraud, and we keep spending money each year that's in excess of the fraud we identify. And that, I think, is the more likely scenario. I'm still for it. I'm still for it because we should be catching crooks.
I think that what we would end up doing.
But either way, I'm for it. And if you're right, then we save money.
We already, based off of just Minnesota alone, we have discovered over 9 billions. I think the low number that I last heard was like $18 billion. And we're talking like people were taking $1 million like a week or almost daily, and they were literally flying it out. And I don't even think that it takes that much in order to locate this fraud. You could go into and you can look up, okay, what are like Cameron said earlier, look up new. I don't know if this is the tactic that you could use, but you could look up new businesses. And when you start seeing, here's a whole bunch of daycare centers that are opening up in a rather short period of time, or there seems to be a whole lot of daycare centers that are opening up in a small area, then I would imagine that it wouldn't cost a whole lot to discover where the fraud is. And I think that
send a guy from social services to go look and see if there's kids in the building.
And can't do that. We cut their funding because your taxes are too high.
But they didn't.
And we needed to borrow money from PennDOT again, so we don't have to fix the roads because the state cops needed to buy more cars.
So the thing is that they didn't. When you go and you look, I know that you hate Nick Shirley and all that stuff for what I think is very silly reasons, but a lot of those people, when they went and they looked at the records, because they have to have people who are going there to inspect these places and make sure that they're up to date on all of their stuff, and they would get
why everyone has 2 sets of books, and
there would be like 6, like here's a daycare center, and they had 6 failings, which means like they did not actually like when they went there, you don't have the kids, you're not set up here, you're not set up, this is not illegal, you shouldn't be doing this. And then what ends up happening, they still receive the money anyways. Like these
because that's their front office. The daycare is actually across town at this address.
No, all the entire system, because they would look at, it's not that they would just go to the front office of the daycare, they go to the actual daycare where the kids are supposed to be getting taken care of.
And there was
right now, I just looked this up in Gemini AI, right? So this is what Gemini says.
Source we can all trust.
Yeah.
So, but it, according to Gemini, the total fraud is proven fraud so far is 350 million to 500 million.
Jeez.
There are
and that's
claims,
not even
there
in relation to what specifically.
There are claims of billions based on what federal prosecutors are claiming, those
They're
aren't
still in the
proven
process
yet.
of litigating. Yes.
Yes.
So
yes.
you've got two different scenarios, but like, okay, here's ones that are in it, that have concluded, and then you have ones where it's like, we're pretty sure that here's a whole bunch of them, but we have to take time to build the case. And what I find frustrating is that it's like there's oftentimes, and this often comes from the left, is like there's a lack of acknowledgement about the severity of the problem, because you're not taking into account like what in my opinion is blatantly obvious fraud that's taking place. Like when you see a lot of this stuff, it's like, oh, and you can see the trends, and it's like, well, I've worked in QA.
It ends up with one person falling off the face of the earth, and that's the end of it. America.
But there's a lot of other people who are participating in it, and the one of the things is like when you look at a lot of this fraud, there's a lot of people who are participants of the fraud, even though they're not the main characters who are doing it. They receive kickbacks. It's like, oh well, we have to follow certain rules, so they'll go and they'll say, hey, we dropped our kids off here, and then they immediately pick them up within 30 seconds, and then that's supposed to count as their child being there for daycare, and that's supposed to enable them to continue receiving this money. It's craziness.
This is my issue with these claims from the right, is there's a lot of anecdotes, but when we actually investigate it, what we find is right now it's 350 to 500 million. We haven't proven billions.
That's what I'm saying, is that what you guys do is you like in effect enable it. In the public's mind, you enable it to kind of continue.
On demonstrable facts? I don't think so.
Okay, even if it's
you're too late to the party.
We've gotten way off topic here. This is supposed to be about taxes. Can we do we have time for a quick history lesson?
Yeah,
on the United States income tax.
Sure, let's do
Created
it.
shortly after World War I, was used to fund many what people would call now socialist projects. I mean, you look at the Hoover Dam, you look at all that. That's all the giant public works programs that would be considered socialist by today's standards, because it's the government spending money on the people, putting people to work. It goes directly to the people.
That's not socialism.
I wouldn't consider that socialism at all.
That's infrastructure.
It would be considered a socialist policy.
I wouldn't consider that. Building a dam.
Okay. Anyway,
I don't
designed.
But I think to your point, Cameron, and in terms of taxes, our tax rates at the time that we built those projects were 70 to 90% top marginal rates, and we got a lot of stuff done, and the country prospered after World War II with those very high tax rates, and we were able to fund a lot of infrastructure and social services. We had the GI Bill sending people to college, which was a massive benefit to our economy, having this educated labor force. And I don't know that we need to go back to 70 or 90% tax rates, but right now I think the top tax rate is something like 32 or 33%. It could be under Bill Clinton, when we were last paying off debt and deficits, the top tax rate was 39%. And again, people were making money. The economy was prospering. We were paying off debt. So our tax levels could be higher than they are now, and our economy could still prosper. And we would not raise them on most people. We would raise them on higher earners. And I hope to be someone who eventually has to pay those higher tax rates. I'm sorry?
What happened to the idea that it was supposed to be temporary?
Our federal taxes were supposed to be temporary.
Federal income tax was intended to be temporary, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm no fan of income tax at all.
It's a better idea.
I don't think we should be doing it at all.
Right? We've gotten a lot of benefits from having permanent federal income taxes.
But we've also got.
Are you guys in favor of income tax?
Yes.
You want income tax.
Do I want to pay income tax? No. Do I think it's necessary? Yes.
Okay, but our federal deficit is how much? I don't know off the top. Just so many trillions that it doesn't even compute in my head.
And the last time we were paying down federal debt was when we had 39% high maximum marginal tax rates as opposed to now. I think it's 32.
And
Okay,
who controlled the government that year?
Bill Clinton, when it was 39%. And he had Democratic majorities in Congress that were able to pass those tax rates.
So what happened?
What happened is we raised those taxes and we were able to start paying down debt.
No, I mean, like, how did it go wrong? Because also since then, our taxes have only increased.
No, they haven't.
All right, so I don't like the idea of
federal-
income taxes.
The
I don't think they're
federal
necessary.
deficit has increased exponentially. I mean, it's too high. It's way too high. I don't
and the people are. I
understand.
feel like
It's
the people
high on
are paying
who?
higher.
Amazon,
taxes.
Walmart, they're not paying any taxes.
Again, I agree with you that there should be a different tax for the corporations. I am for people earning as much money as they are physically able to, but I am not for
Show me the last time a
these
CEO actually lifted
corporations.
something
Huh?
or actually did something productive.
Or
Who?
who did?
A CEO.
Right,
Elon Musk.
exactly.
He's done tons of productive, great things.
He's a owner.
His own
though.
two hands?
I mean,
Yeah.
So Elon Musk, there's actually a lot
Jeff
I personally
Bezos.
admire about Elon Musk. I think
How much
he
of
has-
the Amazon did he save with that company?
Yeah,
Like
I
we
think
promised when he started it.
I think he's
That's why it's
brought us
called Amazon, isn't it?
a lot closer to the electrification of cars, which is going to have a lot of societal benefits. And his pioneering work on that. And yes, I know he didn't found Tesla and all that, but he popularized it. Because of him, there's a lot more electric cars. It would have happened eventually, but I think maybe 10 to 20 years later, and we see an explosion of electric cars all around the world. A lot of that is attributable to Elon Musk. So Henry Ford, assembly lines, the railroad barons, the railroads help unify the
okay,
country.
Louis,
There's good and
can I
bad.
cut in? Can
Of
I cut
course.
in? Okay, back to, I just thought of a good example of where I think that the public can benefit by the federal government stepping in or somebody stepping in. Here where I live in North Carolina, we have Duke Energy, and they tried to raise rates. I think it was 9%, and the people shot them down. They're going to raise the rates like 3 point something percent, but they had $1 billion in the second quarter profits. And that's where I say that's profit, not what they're spending for their infrastructure, for their employees, for benefits. This is where we should say, if you have so much in profit for the quarter, for the year, you should not be able to raise your rates. And I think that would help people more than saying
That's not going to happen in a country where 10% of the population controls 70% of the wealth.
well,
ever.
and I understand that. I'm just saying, in my mind, that's one place we can go to help. That's just one example.
Are you
So you're
saying we
against
should
the
tax
federal
Duke
government
Energy more?
redistributing money to from richer states to poorer states,
Yes.
but you're for a redistribution of wealth? Then how are you going to facilitate that?
That is not
without tax,
redistribution of health, of
Wealth.
wealth,
Yeah,
because
sorry.
that is a utility company. That is our utility company, and they are wanting to raise
they
the
have
rates on the
shareholders.
people. I don't care if you've got $1 billion in profits, you should not be able to raise your rates. You should have to
So-
show that you need to meet.
Well, you can survive without power.
threshold.
People have done it for thousands of years.
I probably could. I don't think a 25-year-old could, but yes, you're right. I probably could, because I'm of the older generation and we have done without.
So
We know what it's like.
so I feel like there's I'm not opposed to corporations making boatloads of money. I really don't care how much. To me, it could just be an unlimited amount. I take no issue with it. The areas that I do take issue with is in basically kind of like the general payments that any individual is getting. So when you have, and I see it all the time when you have these CEOs come in and they end up destroying the company, and they have some sort of clause that says even if you destroy the company or whatever, you get paid $400 million. And I think that
they can work for 3 months and liquidate the entire company and walk
and they
away
can
with a lot more
destroy
than
the
that.
company, right? And so what I want to promote is I want to promote if what the companies did was say, hey, we are making bajillions of dollars. What we're going to do, and I wouldn't care to have to force the tax on the bajillions of dollars. I would say, look, how about what if what they do with their bajillions of dollars is they say we're going to create a new thing. Like I think about Elon Musk and I think about all the different things that he's creating and how he's advanced our civilization to like who knows how many years forward of just from everything that he's producing, and he's able to do a lot of that because
What did he produce on his own and didn't buy from somebody else? I'm not sure I'm 100% clear on that.
I'm not sure what your
the Tesla
expectation is.
namesake, right?
I'm not sure what your expectation is from any individual person. I don't know if your expectation is to say, hey, Elon Musk literally developed the technology himself to put for the electric technology to put in. He created that system, and then he created the model for the car, and then he built the engines for the rockets, and he built the drills for this. Like, I don't know if your expectations of what
those are
an
all
individual
existing
person
technologies.
No, they're not all existing technologies. Him having the
electric
ability
car
to
has
take
been
a
around since
rocket,
the 1920s.
for him to be able
Nikola
to take
Tesla
a rocket
had
and
one that
land
drove
it,
without even needing a
for him
battery.
to be able to develop the rocket and land it and to do that
That's
successfully.
just math. That's just computing horsepower.
Well, he's
All
the
it
one
is
who
is
did
take
it.
the money.
Do it.
He's the
No,
one who
no,
did it.
nobody was
I don't
doing
have the
it.
capital to do it.
No, nobody was doing it until
Exactly.
It's not like, oh,
Elon Musk
if I
is
had the
off of
capital to do it,
somebody
it's like, no.
who
You
already
have to be able to
published it.
have a management style. You have to be able to pick the right people. You have to be able to create an environment that allows these advances to thrive. If you could, that's like, hey, you know what? Why don't you go get a loan? Go grab a loan and say, hey, you know what? For this, I'm going to develop this thing. If you've got such a great idea and this technology and all
bank
this
will
stuff, and
pay
all
you.
it is a matter of money and it's profit. Go for it, man. You can make that happen. It's not just money. It's the individual who's able to create and produce the environment and has the vision to be able to structure and put the entire thing together. That's what Elon Musk is so prolific at.
Okay. Do you think it would be better in the United States right now, and for my generation and younger, do you think it would be better? This is going to change perspective for a lot of people. Is it better to be born intelligent or rich?
Intelligent. I don't.
Well, intelligent.
Rich.
No.
Rich.
Rich
no.
ruins
There's
kids.
lots of rich people. Look at a lot of the kids who grow up in they with a silver spoon in their hand. They don't
rich.
develop anything. Just because they have the money doesn't mean they can just develop stuff.
So just you know, hopefully these are slightly
easier to be born rich.
George
But
W.
not
Bush's,
better.
George W. Bush's daughters and Barack Obama's daughters, right? I'm not saying they're dumb. I mean, they seem reasonably
now
intelligent. They seem reasonably intelligent to me. They seem reasonably intelligent to me.
It's like a Gavin Newsom saying.
But their children. I mean, the children of George W. Bush and Barack Obama have advantages that our children won't.
But they're not going to be building rockets. They're not building underground tunnel systems. They're not building an AI system.
Sure, but Elon Musk wouldn't be doing all those things either had he not been born rich, right?
Okay.
He had a big leg up.
He probably
Okay,
he
there
may have
are
had
always-
some level of wealth, but from
He
what
had a lot of wealth from his
Are you-
family.
So
look at the
So
okay,
he
let's bring
shouldn't
this
have
back
done
into
it?
taxes. Should we be taxing generational wealth?
Yes,
And are we doing it
Generational
properly?
wealth.
We
Like
should.
the
we
money
are
that goes
doing
down
it,
to the
We are
kids?
doing it with estate taxes.
Yeah, like
We
the
should
Rothschilds, the Carnegies.
but we should be doing it more at
Where
at
do you
higher
have
levels,
a cap
like-
on that, or is my
like-
mom going to be the one who says is she going to be a victim of this too?
we have a cap on it.
There's
We
loopholes.
have caps on all our taxes, right? If you make very little money and you have kids and mortgages and so on, you get a lot of tax breaks. So right now it's the estate tax could be a lot higher for, let's say, the world's first trillionaire.
I'm
Right.
very much opposed to all of that
But
kind
you
of stuff.
can't-
I think that stuff deals with itself. If what there's like some saying, and I'm sure I'll butcher it, but it's like, you can be the one who develops the wealth, like a massive amounts of wealth, and then it gets cut in half from your kids, and then by 3 generations later, your money,
It's
all
gone.
of that wealth is gone.
I-
So I think it's a self-dealing problem, and that wealth ends up what that wealth can do is either build into something that's continuously successful and provides advantages to the world,
I was
or it funnels itself back into the system. It's one
I
of the
was
two.
I was reading a profile of RFK Jr. and one of the things that talked about was he would go falconing with his family.
Yeah.
Right. So that's an old money generational wealth thing. Most of us are not going to go falconing.
It can just be
right?
a
They
hobby.
have-
I mean,
they
I don't
have-
know
they
that
have-
would
they
be
have an
something
estate-
expensive
they
to have
they
to
have
do.
an estate where a bunch of their yeah it could be, but realistically it's not. They have an estate where their family lives in a compound. They have yachts. They
I have
and
a
I like the
question.
Kennedys overall, but
So punish
the
their
fact is
leisure.
the fact is they have all this generational wealth going back to Joe Kennedy. So it's like 4 or 5 generations now.
It sounds like jealousy.
I
It-
I
it-
have a
it's
question.
not
It's-
jealousy.
I
That's
have a
really all it
question.
sounds like.
Let me put
I
this in
think
perspective.
You
Let me
asked,
put this in
you
perspective. The way
mentioned
the
that the wealth
taxes work.
dissipates. It doesn't. The wealth stays in that family. You can hire
can.
people to
Because
manage
it's
your
being
money if you-
successfully utilized. That's why the wealth stays. It's one of the
What-
two.
what-
It's either going
No.
to sustain
No,
itself
Okay.
or
no.
grow,
Okay, here.
or it's going to
No,
Guys,
collapse.
they
guys.
have an advantage being Kennedys, having the Kennedy name and having the Kennedy wealth that the rest of us don't.
And you have to have the
Okay.
intelligence.
So they can afford a
Okay.
tax lawyer, basically.
Yeah. They can
So
afford
what?
a tax lawyer,
If
they can
if
afford
you-
money managers.
Jordan, if
How
your mom
does
were to
that
pass
affect
tomorrow,
you?
there'd be a massive tax on whatever gets passed down to you based on
So Melody,
basically
going
an arbitrary worth. If she
going
were to
back
pay
to
a
your
tax
point-
lawyer and recharge everything into a trust, that trust can be passed from person to person without any tax, practically at
So
all.
what?
And that's how the super rich are doing it. They're paying tax lawyers because our tax code is so screwed up. I personally advocate for tearing up the IRS tax code and starting from scratch.
I mean, I'm not
Okay.
opposed.
I would
to
prefer
I've got a
no
question.
income tax at all.
But I wouldn't.
I
I don't
have a
buy into your
question.
method.
I have a question,
Go ahead, Melody.
and this is for Lewis and Cameron. Do you think that we should all have the same amount of money in our bank account, drive the same car, live in the same size houses, eat the same type of food, take the same vacations? Well, there's always going to be somebody better than you, and there's always going to be somebody worse off than you. We do not live in a perfect world. God did not create it that way. It's not
No,
going
no.
to be that way. And
And
so
don't forget, he
saying,
loves you.
well, this I do not ever forget that. And do not worry about what the Kennedys have. Worry about what you can make for yourself. Who cares what
so
the Kennedys have?
But did this
I-
generation of Kennedys make it for themselves?
I don't care.
That's not even what it. Yeah. Why? It,
It
Or is
doesn't
the system
matter.
just rigged
Because-
enough that
because
they're
we're-
making enough
we're-
money sitting there
the-
doing
the-
nothing
the
without
topic-
actually?
Hey, you know what?
It
You have a
doesn't
kid.
matter.
It's invested in a private
The
equity
topic is
company.
taxes,
That
so
private
we-
equity company probably owns your power company.
There's a
I don't
motivation.
care.
And that's
the
why the
topic-
rates are going up, because the Kennedys need more money.
No, it's
the topic
not.
is
But that's-
taxes.
That's
That's
topic
where
is taxes,
it needs to
so-
be
so to
regulated.
this is the Kennedys' fault.
So Melody,
Okay.
Melody, to
All right, let's
your-
okay.
your-
Let's say
your-
I'm Elon Musk. I want to be the next Elon Musk. Okay?
Okay.
I go to the bank. I get a loan. I get $10 billion. All right.
All
I
right.
establish
Sure.
I come up with a brilliant product that's going to put Elon Musk's Tesla out to business. It's going to be a wonderful hybrid car. I have the people. I have the workforce.
Perfect.
I have the money to invest it. I'm going to do it. Okay, perfect. I'm going to do it. I also have some money left over, so I'm going to start another business. I'm going to start a private equity firm. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy all of the real estate in the city where I put my plant. Right? It's a great idea. And here we go into the coal mining fallacy. I own the store. I pay you. You owe me rent. I control the power. I control the water. That's
Okay,
what
I
my private
live
equity
close.
firms are going to do.
I live close to people that did do coal mines up here in Virginia and
And
North
all that's going to
Carolina.
happen is
And-
you're going to
and
sell your
listen
soul to the
me.
company store. And you
And
know who the
listen
company
to
store
me.
is right now?
I have seen stories on these people, and they said that their parents, because of these coal companies that came in and employed them and built housing and did all of this, they had a good life. And then the government come in and said, no more coal, it's done. Now these towns are decimated. So you tell those people that they were in a bad shape because that coal company came in 1910 and made this whole community
Just to
wealthier
destroy
for it. And then the
but-
government comes in and says no more coal. But what your point is you're saying, oh, that was bad of the coal company. But if you ask those people whose parents were working those coal mines and
How
those
much of their own food
parents
did they
that
grow?
are still, I don't care. Those parents
They were
that
happy.
were
They were happy. They liked. They
had
liked
good
that.
life. They had a
They-
steady
They got
income.
paid
They
well.
had good housing. Some of these people, they said that their parents' houses were bigger than any houses they'd ever seen that were built by the coal mines.
So go back further though to when coal mines, like we would say the worst thing was like, oh my God, that's like working in a coal mine because coal mines were dangerous.
It's
It
hard
was
work,
a
yeah.
dangerous job. Yes,
and unions changed that, right?
I'm
The
for
workers got
unions.
together, they put unions together and they forced safety regulations. It wasn't the benevolence of the coal companies, right? And
It
you
doesn't-
also had, the darker side of that was the Molly Maguires who would actually assassinate coal company executives.
But you could say that about
so
any
those were
company.
both
Look at the
reactions to the excesses of the coal companies, and you have all the environmental damage from what coal
I
companies
just
were
used
doing.
he said coal, so I used it as
Yeah,
I'm not saying you should bring
Here
it
you
back.
go,
I'm
Joe.
just
But
saying it wasn't.
I'm
a
saying
bad
it's the
deal.
model
point-
of selling your soul to the company store
Sorry, but
is where
to
we're
Melody's
going with the
point-
wealth in this country.
To
It's
Melody's
not
point,
like when the coal companies came. You're saying the coal companies came in. The people owned their houses. They were already established. There was already a community there. I'm saying I'm going to
And-
build a community around the coal mine. I'm going to start the coal mine first. I'm going to pay people to move into my houses. They can only shop at my stores. I'm the one paying them.
That's exactly what happened.
I
So
only
what-
need them well enough to swing a pickaxe.
And-
That's
and-
all I
and-
care
So
about.
you're
So
you're
I go home with
upset.
the coal. That's it.
So-
All that other money, I don't care about their safety. I'm taking the money and I'm running.
Hold on.
So go ahead, Joe.
So okay, so you're saying that it's a bad thing for somebody to create a business that is hyper successful, that is so successful that it's
And
able
it buys
to
up the entire environment around it.
create a town. Not like it just buys up. It's able to create a town and an internal system that is
Supports their
self-sustainable.
people.
You're saying that that's a bad thing.
Yes.
It's a bad thing
Because
for- it's a bad
inevitably,
thing for a company
the only interest in the company is profit.
But
How
it's
many
times
funny
have you
because
saw
that's
somebody-
what
you saw
Who
Carnegie
cares?
build a
The,
library.
the only
It's-
way that the country
cares?
because the only
cares?
reason. Yeah,
Did you know
I'll
that
tell you
the
why.
Foxconn, the company that has Apple, has suicide nets around their building? because people keep
You know
killing
what's
themselves.
funny?
You
So
And there
does
should be
everyone in
regulations.
Well,
There should be
America.
regulations on something
let's
like
go
that.
back. Let's go back to Melody's point. These companies provided, I pointed out some of the negatives, but I do want to acknowledge what Melody said is that they provided jobs, and people did do well working for those companies.
Yes.
And later on in time, after we had better health and safety regulations, and so on, the companies
people
did
died for
provide.
that.
Are
Yes,
people
they
dying
did.
around the Tesla centers? Are they killing themselves?
So,
We're not
so
talking
the coal
about
companies,
China.
The coal companies became
The people that mine the
better
lithium are.
employers because we had health and safety regulations, and we
Yes.
had other regulations.
Yeah, that's the
Which we
government being able
enforced-
to
which we
make sure
enforced-
that you
Yeah,
don't need
that's the
safety
federal
net for
government.
suicide.
Which we enforced with taxes, right? Not with taxes, but which we paid for
We
the
have
enforcement
regulations.
of those things.
So
with
now the
taxes.
federal government's
So-
going to step in because my company is making $12
Yeah.
billion in profits, and I'm
Okay,
only giving back
So
just enough so that people
So-
are in starvation. And
Here's the
relying on-
Those
funny
people
thing.
are
Walmart
getting
model, the
are
Walmart model.
wealthy, and if
I'm
they
gonna
don't
pay
like it,
just
they
enough
can work
for you to stay
somewhere
in
else, and then the
poverty,
company will
and then
will
take-
fail. It
Here's-
all hinges on the success of the business. If
Here's
Elon
the
Musk,
funny thing.
hold on. If Elon Musk produces
Exactly, it's the success of the business, not the success of
Yes.
the people operating it.
well, the success of the business is dependent on the people who are operating it. So if the people are doing a good enough job, they'll be able to buy these houses and operate this community. And then say, just like say this, say Elon Musk creates this that he builds this entire town, and you've got houses, you've got grocery stores, you've got entertainment centers, you've got all kinds of stuff, and then the company collapses. Well, what now? What are people left with? A big empty building and an entire town full of workers or potential
But that's
workers.
not going to happen like that.
So-
It's
so
going
why
to be
wouldn't-
people
why
are
couldn't it?
slowly going to work themselves to death, and then you just put an ad on
No,
Craigslist
not
that you're
necessarily.
hiring for
Not necessarily.
$50,000 a year.
Those
or $10
people-
million a year. Okay,
those
you moved to the
people-
city, but here you go, milk's $1 million a gallon
Those people,
because I control the entire market.
we
Though-
can
Internet.
actually.
it wouldn't make any sense. They'd be like, well, I'm not making any money doing any of this, so I'm going to go to the competitor, and
Don't
they're going
think
to
you'd make
move
money off
and
of it?
take their
When-
skills
when-
somewhere else.
When a big
I
employer,
could probably pay you with the dividends from a life insurance policy I take out on you in that situation.
It's
starve you to
ridiculous.
death.
when
It's
a big
ridiculous
when a
because-
big employer collapses, we can see what happens to an area. Look at Detroit, right? The car company.
Yeah, they
Right.
hire a temp agency.
I
and you who
don't
you're
know
going to
that I
work
don't know
for.
that I would say they collapsed.
That's
but
because
they're
they
not
just
nearly
an
as
entire
significant.
industry was destroyed
Yeah, the government
Detroit,
destroyed-
by outsourcing. So the people were just suddenly left. But if what could end up happening is saying,
but
hey, here's because you could tear down that place, but at least you have a general infrastructure, and those people can start working online,
but-
or they
but
could create new businesses that are more
I still
localized
own the real
within that
estate.
place. And then
I
the
still own the real
housing
estate in a
market,
different
parts of Detroit,
entity.
from what I understand, are coming back. To your point, Jordan, but there's a difference between a large employer giving people jobs, and then that creates infrastructure in an area. People come in and build stores. People come in and provide services,
Absolutely.
and so on.
It could be its own
to the coal
ecosystem
to the coal company example, where Tennessee Ernie Ford is selling his soul to the company store because that's the only store there is, right? So what I think Cameron is saying, and correct me if I'm wrong, Cameron, is we don't want a business to have that concentration of power. And one way that we mitigate that is with taxes.
We can broaden it. We can broaden it.
Right.
10% of the people in this country control 60% of the wealth.
Yeah.
They're
Okay.
getting closer and closer
That's
to a
just
monopoly.
that's how a
Okay, can I say
capitalist type of
something?
a situation. There's a hierarchy. Those
Can
who
I-
are
And,
wealthy are
okay,
going
go
to rise
back.
to the
Go
top.
back and look at wealth disparity
Let
from
Melody-
the end of World
It's
War
like you're
One until
talking
now.
about like a communism or socialism where you just have to kneecap
I'm
everybody.
as guilty as anyone.
You're going to.
Can
You're
I-
going to have to.
Can I
So
please
you're
say
gonna
in
have
something?
promotion. You're in promotion of kneecapping everybody so that they all fall down so that they're at an equal level.
No, there's
Not
there's-
everybody.
Excuse me?
Let Melody speak.
Go ahead,
please.
Melody.
Okay. the coal mining example with the store and the property it's funny to me that the people on the left would be against that because it seems to me that's exactly what they want from our
No.
government, from
Hold
our
on,
taxes.
hold on.
Yes,
No,
Back
let
then,
her
it's a
finish. Let
different
her
time.
finish.
Back then, people could grow their own food. Today, you can't.
you can still grow your
You
own
can
food.
grow your own food.
I can go dig a garden in my backyard and grow food. If you
Your
choose
corn
to
won't come up
sit,
again yet next year. You have to pay Monsanto for that.
no, I don't. So if I choose to live in
Maybe
a
you
city
can't grow
with
bananas.
sidewalks, I can't do it. But I can go out back here and dig me a garden and have some tomatoes and some corn and some whatever I want.
A lot of that
I
stuff
can
is
put
supplemental, but
chickens. I
Yeah.
I could be self-sustaining if I wanted to
So,
be.
so what
And your
you're
the jurisdiction,
offering.
your laws allow you that where you live.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
I don't know
absolutely.
That's
where
awesome.
you
Where
can't.
do you live that you
Maybe in an
can't
apartment
unless
you can't do
Anywhere
it.
with an HOA. Actually,
Oh,
my
that's your
township has an
choice.
ordinance
Yeah,
that I
that's
can
your
have chickens,
choice.
but I can't have a rooster, and that's it. And it
Don't
wasn't.
buy in
This
an
house has been there
HOA.
longer than the township has
I
been
would
established.
never buy into an
Yeah.
HOA. One of the things me and my husband were dead set against when we bought our house out here. We will not buy into an area with an HOA or restrictions.
It's good
And we
advice for
didn't.
everyone. Don't
And
buy
with
an
the
You know,
HOA.
rise of private equity and how things are
So,
going,
something
that's no longer
we
an
agree
option
on.
for an
We all
awful
It's
dislike
more
lot of
HOAs.
people.
expensive to even live in an HOA
It
because you
is
have to pay dues.
pay dues.
It's like,
That's crazy to me to pay somebody
yeah,
to tell me what color to paint my house. I'm not doing that.
We could have bought a nicer condo than our house, but we didn't want to buy condo because we didn't want to be HOA controlled. So I think that's something we all
Exactly.
agree on.
yeah.
HOAs
People
are
have a
terrible.
choice.
Yeah.
But
Don't
you
if
have
you
a
want
choice.
a garden, don't get the top floor
Yeah.
on an apartment complex.
You're basically deciding to pay a tax to the HOA. But
I agree with
think
the entire
but going-
the idea entirely as well. But
yeah,
unfortunately, that's the
going back-
reality for a lot of people.
going back to what Melody's saying though, on the left and obviously people on the left, just like on the right and in the middle, have a wide variety of views. But in
Right.
general, I think those of us on the left, it's not we don't want the government, and there are some people who maybe do, but on the left in general, we don't want the government taking ownership of Lucky or Safeway or Albertsons or whatever, right? But what we don't want is Albertsons buying up every business in a town so that it becomes an Albertson company.
I think there
town.
should be something that prevents people from creating monopolies. But I
Yeah.
think that if somebody envisions and they have an idea and they say, look, I want to have this business and my business requires it to be far away from stuff and I need to be able to hire people and I don't want them to have to drive 3 hours to get to my place and I need people from all over the place, so I'm going to build houses so that those
Right.
people
What's wrong
can
with
live
that?
in those houses and then they're
What's wrong
getting
with that?
paid.
Okay, Deepwater
I don't
Horizon.
have a problem with that. I don't. It doesn't. We basically already have that. Like with Microsoft, they have Microsoft like they've designated apartment complexes and houses and spaces. They're like, here, this is where this is for Microsoft employees. Now it's within a
Colleges do
giant metropolitan city, but there's there's places that are like, oh, if you're a Microsoft employee, you have you get first dibs here because the people who work at Microsoft, they may be coming from all over the place and they need to be able to live
Have
within
a
this
home.
area.
Sure.
So I
And
don't have an
Toyota.
issue with somebody creating their own little. If there was a place where somebody said, "Hey, you know what? I want to create a socialist utopia, and I'm gonna create this business, and I'm gonna do all of this stuff, and we're gonna pay for your medical, and we're gonna pay for this, and all of this, and your guys are gonna go to work, and all of your needs will be taken care of." It's like, okay, you can make that happen. You can do that. That's your prerogative. And if people don't like it, they can say, I quit. I'm going to go work for your competitor. I'm going to
so-
move.
NDA.
I'm going to pick up and
So
move.
this
NDA and
this all-
non-compete
this all-
agreements.
So
you
what?
can't. You
can
simply can't.
Yeah.
this
well,
all sounds good.
then don't
This all
sign it in the
sounds
first.
good.
There's no way.
Yeah.
And you don't get a
Nowhere
job.
is
Sounds
it like,
good.
hey,
This
you know
sounds
what?
good
I
on
can hold on.
paper.
Where you can work at Boeing, and then you can say, you know what? I don't want to work at Boeing anymore, and I'm going to go over to their competitor. You can. I
Yeah.
don't think that there's anything that prevents
There's
anybody.
non-compete. There's a non-compete
Those
clause.
non
Your retirement will disappear,
if you go to
My
a competitor,
husband-
and a lot of them will come after your salary. In court.
Okay,
don't
my
get to
my
take your
husband
information
does.
and give it to everybody. You can't say,
My-
here's everything that I learned and all of the trade secrets that I picked up in Boeing, and I'm going to bring them over here and I'm going to inform the other guys. Like, sure, you can't do that. But if you're like,
that would be corporate espionage, but
yeah, and if you've got a set of skills and you're like, I know how to put together planes, I understand this stuff, and you leave Boeing so that you can go work somewhere else at another plane company. It's the same thing for a video game company. It's the same thing for a grocery store. You can't.
So-
It's not like, oh, I
can't do
can't
that
go
with a car
work at.
company.
I can't leave Safeway and go work at Albertsons.
So
Like,
that
Okay,
that,
Everybody works within their own industry, anyways.
that
So
sounds-
I'm
husband-
not buying it.
go ahead, Melody.
My-
Sorry.
My husband works in construction, and now it doesn't affect him out here, but if we were still in California, when he retires from construction, he is not allowed to do construction for 2 years
Right.
in his field.
Right.
And he understood that going in. It's a union thing, and it does happen, but it was his choice when he signed up to do that. You know, that is the good thing about America. We are free. We can choose whether we're
who
going to
educated
live
him on the
here.
legal? Who educated him on the legal aspect? Of
My
that?
And the
husband
contract,
is
the legal language.
intelligent enough to read what he's signing.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. Do you
it's
know what
not
the average kid who walks in and gets a job gets? I need
If
you to
they're
sign
dumb
this,
and
thump,
they don't.
and
Yeah.
handed a pen and stared at,
Well,
intimidating.
too bad. Like, don't be so
Yeah,
dumb.
then-
Well,
Don't be dumb like that.
so,
Then
so
But nobody
So
who
Melody-
educates that person about it.
Their
Melody,
Public
parents.
school system sure as hell
Cool.
I
doesn't.
think
common
I think
sense. If
I
you're going to
think
sign
California-
something,
They don't teach you how to do
should
your
read it.
taxes.
Here's a contract.
I think California has since made non-compete clauses illegal. I'm not 100% sure. I know
I'm
for
not either. I
software-
know.
Yeah.
People
I
need to
know
have
for- I know for-
responsibility for their
for-
own
I know
decisions.
for software
But corporations don't.
companies they're
Of course they do.
illegal now. Because basically you're not paying anybody anymore, but they're still bound by a contract they signed with you. Is kind of the logic. But going back
Right.
to company towns, like it sounds good on paper that a company would develop all this infrastructure to help people, but the reality of it that we saw is that it was not very positive for people, right? They
No.
ended up
No.
owing
when they
owing the
came in and they
company-
shut it down, when the government came
That's
in and
when
shut
it
it down,
hurt.
that's when it sucked. But it was
didn't
working
hurt
great
them.
before then.
the
Yeah.
the government wasn't shutting down company towns. It was
They
was,
shut down the source for
Yeah,
the
they said, "Hey, you know what? We're
in-
going to
they
stop
put in-
mining for coal."
they put in health and safety regulations.
That's not what stopped
That's not what
it.
they did. Don't you remember
That's
when
not-
when for years they say, even in Trump, they was like, if you vote for this guy, they're going to shut down your energy. It was all about energy. Oh, they're gonna shut down the coal mines, and then he would run on open up the coal mines because Obama shut a lot of them down because he wanted to do green energy.
And I'm not
Obama
saying
shut
good
it
or
And the
down.
fact
bad.
that the
And
fact
he-
Yeah,
that
and
Trump
killed me
ran
about
on
this is that's
reopening.
when the
Coal can't
debate
produce-
stayed,
right,
and
coal-
nobody looked
it
into
was health
forgotten
and safety
technologies like coal
regulations.
gas. A better way to burn coal.
Okay,
A cleaner way to
but
burn coal.
That's a
Nobody
different
said anything about that.
Thing. Well, that
Everybody
wasn't
was
in
too
the,
busy
in the
going, yes, coal
conversation.
mine, no coal mine, to not. How about we just use the coal in a better way and compromise?
well,
on
and
that?
that's fine, but that
Sure.
wasn't the point of
Yeah,
what I
that's-
was talking about. It had nothing to do with how these areas, because it was more than one area that was affected. and it wasn't that the structure of what the coal mines did failed. It was when they were shut down is when it failed. And when now we have all these people in poverty because there's not a lot out here in
That
Virginia
that
and West
that
Virginia.
that's an
Well, thankfully, we
unfortunate
have the pharmaceutical companies that try to fix that with
that's
fentanyl. I'm going to
that's
step out
an
for a smoke. I'll be right back.
that's an unfortunate part of our capitalist
This may be a
economy,
good time to interject. I'm sorry, Lewis. I want to be cognizant of everybody's time. At what point would you like to summarize all of your points?
Now,
Now?
Oh, yeah,
I'm
you got it.
done.
You're supposed
Okay.
to go, huh?
Yeah.
I'm-
No, I mean, I've got plenty of time, but I'm not sure how Cameron feels. And to be clear, we don't want to discuss the second debate topic tonight.
no,
I mean,
I don't
I
think we
could,
have
but
time,
I guess
right?
we're not going to. Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta get out of here.
Okay. When Cameron comes back, I'll ask him to
Yeah.
summarize and go through all of you,
But-
and then
but
continue.
yeah, like Melody, what happened to towns? Detroit is another example that I gave
Right.
earlier, where big employers collapse for whatever reason. It's horrible for the people that live there, right? Like Detroit is a great American city. A lot of those coal towns had been there for hundreds of years,
Automobile.
and before they became coal towns. You know, and it's just horrible when something like that happens.
Okay,
As long
Detroit
as
should
long as
not
we
have
have a
failed.
as long
Yeah.
as long as we're okay with businesses getting shut down and replaced by something else.
The
that
coal, I don't care one way or the other. I mean, I feel bad for the people and everything, but
It's
Detroit
just an example.
was a failure on the American government to the people, to the workers, because our steel industry and our automobile industry, we were sold out by our government to send it overseas for cheap labor. And that's a whole nother subject that just really makes me mad. I want to get rid of NAFTA.
that's a whole other debate topic. But
Yeah.
yeah. But
Okay,
but
let's
in terms
do
of
closing stuff.
yeah, what I'll talk about this more in my closing, but I think going back to what I think we all agreed that we should audit, and to me, I think it's important to do it to catch crooks. If that ends up saving us money, as you believe, Melody, and as you believe, Joden, I'll take that too, right? I mean, I don't see the downside to audit saving us money if that's what happens. So
Good.
yeah, so I think that's one area where we have some agreement is auditing for fraud in federal programs.
Well, I think the only way, I really firmly believe, and I could be wrong, that the only way to get rid of this fraud and wasteful spending is to reduce our federal government, to reduce all of this waste. We have I don't know. We just spend too much
So-
money on people in Washington, and we allow them to do the
I
what's it called where they oh, what is that word I'm looking for? Special interest groups.
yeah, there's a lot of the term I've heard is regulatory capture, where you get and this happens at all levels. You get a congressman, it's their first term, and a coal guy, or let's not use coal because that's contentious, but I don't know, a
Pharmaceutical rep.
pharmaceutical it's hard to think, I can't think of anything that's not contentious, but
Nobody
a,
likes the pharmaceutical people.
yeah, a toy maker comes to their office and says, hey, there's this regulation about toys that's terrible. and this congressperson and their staff, they've never looked at toy regulations, right? Because how often do we think about toy regulations? We don't very much, other than is my kid going to swallow that and choke, right? So they come in there and they have, you know, position papers and studies and stuff that they've funded to say that we should get rid of this toy regulation, and without even getting into whether getting rid of that regulation is a good idea or a bad idea, because some regulations are bad regulations, right?
Mhm.
The congressperson doesn't know anything about it, so they listen to the toy people because they're like, well, they have scientists, they have expertise, you know. There's a line in, I is it what's the Woody Harrelson bowling movie where he says, who knows more about tobacco than the American tobacco companies, like as he was smoking and he was saying smoking isn't bad for you, right? So that stuff happens for sure, the special interest and regulatory capture, and some special interests are doing good work, right? Like if you're like, I mean, um you know, like um there are people who are watchdogs on the federal government on the left and the right who are pointing out important issues.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's not the issue. It's when you have pharmaceutical companies going in and giving kickbacks to the
right.
congressmen and the Senate and the, you know, to get their product put
Well, how
out there.
we
And I know that we have, oh, they're not allowed to take that. Well, they take it anyways.
well you
So
if
And
I don't if I donate $1 million to someone's campaign, they're going to listen to me more than they listen to
exactly,
somebody else, right?
so have
So
we
exactly.
so is that a kickback?
Yes,
It's yes, but not legally.
I
so have
know,
Yeah,
we
but
started the closing statements or
That's
I
what
think
we'd
we're
like to
waiting
do
for
right now. So
I think we're
Cameron's
waiting
back.
for
okay,
Cameron.
let's
Uh,
make that happen.
we're going to summarize your thoughts and conclude the debate.
I'll go first if that's okay, since I've so
go for it.
um, a couple of areas of agreement. I think one, we all hate HOAs, which is off topic, but it's an area of agreement. Two, we all agreed that we can audit for waste and fraud. Whether I think we all agreed, Cameron. Correct me if I'm wrong. Um, and whether or not uh, those audits will at least catch people who are committing crimes and defrauding us, um, which I think is a good thing. And then Joden and Melody believe it will uncover areas to save money, which I don't think it will. But if Melody and Joden are correct and we end up saving money from these audits, I'm all for it. Right? We want to not spend money that we don't need to be spending. And then just a couple of areas of I think disagreement that or partial disagreement at least were you know, entrepreneurship and what is an entrepreneur. Like uh actually I think Cameron was very against Elon Musk. I was on the fence about Elon Musk. I think he's done some good things, and then Joden and Melody were I believe saying someone like Musk is important for the economy, and that's something that maybe we can discuss in some future post. And yeah,
Social
I think it was a
responsibility for
good,
the upper class. I like that as a topic.
yeah, yeah. I think it was a great discussion. Always appreciate my exchanges with Joden. I think we've been on every debate so far, Joden, you and I.
Yes, we have.
This one I came in as a standby, but and Melody, we've been in a couple of debates. I was as guilty as anyone. I apologize for maybe not letting you talk as much as you should have, and I'll try to do better next time. And Cameron, great meeting you. Great debating with you. We'll help take down the man. So that's my summary. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, I'll summarize for my right. On the subject of taxes, I I know that um, we talked about how, maybe we could pay more in taxes. And I'm still kind of against that because until we fix the fraud and the wasteful spending, I don't want the government to touch any more of my money. Especially in this economy. Leave my money alone. I think that there is a lot of waste in the federal government. I know there's waste in the state and local areas too, but again, because most of my taxes go to the federal government, that's where I want to see it stopped. And I'd like to give more money to the states and less to the federal government. That's my summary.
Cameron, would you like to summarize?
Okay. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of us do agree about. I mean, I wish we could have talked more about like tax rates over history with certain significant historical events. I think that it would have been nice to get into that. Just comparing it, where tax brackets are, where the upper class is. I would have loved to talk more about wealth disparity. I think that is a big up and coming issue. And I think the tool that we have to most effectively fix that is the tax system, which I think is severely broken, because if a person can hire a tax lawyer and not pay any taxes, I mean, that's just creates an unfair playing field for the average American person. And I don't think that should even be, honestly, a profession at this point. It's with career-long politician. I mean, I think those people are so disconnected from the reality of the average American that they shouldn't be really making decisions. But yeah, it was a great debate. I enjoyed it thoroughly. He guys made a lot of solid points, even if a lot of them were a little specific. And I was trying to stay general and not go specific with like specific single examples, because with the way that society lurks and news works today, the outlier, the statistics is always going to get reported on, and it's always going to get blown up, as opposed to issues, that are less exciting. Like if you look at, nobody talks about the numbers of vehicle recalls that are coming in lately.
Oh my God.
Manufacturers costing, people a lot of money. Another debate that I'd like to have at some point is forced obsolescence, right to repair, things of that nature. And I just see this trend going on, and taxes are a part of it, because of who we're taxing and how we're taxing it. That the wealth is definitely being consolidated and needs to be redistributed in a more fair way to the average American than currently.
All right. So I guess I'll close it out. So I guess my summary largely is the way when I'm looking at the taxes, I view if we were to have more taxes, I think that it would be just fueling more waste and more fraud. I think that we should allocate a good, healthy portion of our tax dollars into auditors to go out and figure out who's basically defrauding our states and our governments.
I see that as a can of worms. Who watches the watcher? Honestly,
you got to start somewhere. You got to start somewhere. And I think if you just to briefly do something with that is I guess I would say, look, if there's an auditor who is enabling this kind of stuff, then you have a very, very, very harsh penalty. There should be a massive punishment to it. I'm not going to say what it is. I'm not even going to speculate, but it should be something that's going to make it so that those people don't participate in that kind of a negative action.
Monetary.
And so then I think that it would be smart for us to be able to. I think it would be smart to promote a new system of tax where there's like the baseline of how much stuff is funded, and then there's a cap so that you're not overfunding.
So a basic universal income, you mean? Or
not a basic.
you-
You may
so-
be in a different context from what I'm
Jordan,
speaking. I'm
just-
talking. What?
Are you talking about like how much we should be taxed or how or a spending
No,
formula?
how much
No.
should be spent on
How,
an
so
item?
I'm talking about the allocation of where our tax dollars are going
Thanks.
to. So you can have education, and there's a baseline that baseline of the education ensures that the education system is going to function and it's going to operate. And if people are satisfied with the levels of education that they have, then they can, because there may be years where people dump a bunch of money into it, and then everybody gets new laptops, everybody gets the libraries get full, and then people are going to be like, well, we don't need to fund the education quite as much as we did last time. I'm sitting here looking at the potholes. I'm going to fund infrastructures. I'm going to fund roadworks. Or hey, you know what? There's a lot of people who I'm seeing are they're homeless, or they're talking about how hungry they are. I'm going to fund these social services. So I think that allowing people the opportunity to say, this is where my tax dollars are going, and I can see that stuff happening, I think it would also help in dealing and actually preventing fraud. Because if we have stuff that's like what happened in Minnesota, where it's like, hey, you know what, you can sign up for these kinds of services, the daycare services, and there was millions and millions of dollars that was going into those services. And so if the people aren't sitting there saying, hey, I want to do a massive amount, then the money for those services just won't be there. Therefore, it would prevent people from defrauding of millions and millions and millions of dollars. So I think that there's systems that could be put in place that help to prevent it and redirect and put more value into our tax dollars that we could personally see. So I think that'll be my closing pitch and statement. Thank you. I
Sure.
guess finally, yeah, I had a great time.
Thank
Thanks
you
for
very much
clarifying.
for everybody's
Thanks
time and
thanks for
for everybody.
clarifying my question, Jordan. When I interrupted you, I appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just
Thank you,
wanted to
Joe.
say
Thank
for
you.
everybody.
my pleasure. I just wanted to say for everybody at home, please don't forget to check us out at our Facebook group, United Debates of America.
All right, bye.
All right. Bye.